In this video, we're going to take a look at an incline press up in a squat rack. Now we'll use this usually to advance and work towards a normal press up from the floor. The reason why this is useful is because if we lack the strength to perform a full press up, we might not get an understanding of the mechanics and where we need to hold tension when we do, say, for example, a push up from the knees. So this is going to allow us to take away some of the load by being a little bit more upright and inclined with the torso. And also then obviously work from the feet, for example. So if I set this up higher in terms of the rack position, it's going to make it a lot easier, and I can advance and progressively overload with ease over time as I potentially set it a little bit lower in terms of the positioning of the hooks. But as I was saying, the big emphasis here is going to be your ability to understand, okay, where do I hold tension in my trunk, the anterior side of the body, this front side, you're going to get an understanding of where to hold tension. You're also going to get a better understanding of your scapula position, how to sort of pinch and pull them together as you go for that sort of descent-like motion here. And then where do you need to position yourself in terms of the actual press and push, that sort of last reach with the scapula as well, okay? But just like a normal press-up motion, kind of like I've gone through there, you'll set your hands up on the barbell. You can use the knurling of the bar to sort of guide you then in terms of the position. What I like to do is I just sort of raise my hands up like a zombie in front of me, and if I want to, I can sort of play around with the grip from here, potentially going a little bit wider if it feels a lot more comfortable. But usually that sort of indication of just sort of raising the hands up entirely from the side is going to be a good guesstimate for where you should be placing your hands. You'll set the feet back, and as you go from here, you want to make sure that as you descend down, you're not finishing with the barbell, say, too close to the neck or even close to the chin. That's something that we see oftentimes, is this sort of falling. You can see the sort of angle that my hips are at, and it's kind of like a poor position. It's not the most optimal position to really press from. We want to actually get a little bit lower. We want to pull the scapula down. We want to pull the elbows in a little bit tighter so that we're in a much better position to actually press and push from, okay? So keep that in mind. So what that looks like then in terms of setup, you can see here I'm relatively straight with the body, squeezing my hips, or actually looking for more of a posterior tilt with the pelvis and my ribs staying down with my trunk engaged. The reason why I point those out is because sometimes if we troubleshoot a movement like this, we might find that we sort of come into this excessive extension-like position. It might not limit us here, but certainly when we move down to the floor, it's probably going to limit us in terms of our strength to hold the torso in a good position and push from, okay? So keep that in mind. Rib cage stays down a little bit, and the pelvis, we tilt up a little bit more posteriorly as if we're trying to bring our belt buckle towards our face, okay? Now that we've got all those things pointed out, we're in a great position here to actually push and press from, okay? So I lower what would be sort of like my armpits or my nipples down towards the barbell. Nipple line or armpit line is a good indication in terms of where the bar should sort of finish. And as I go through the motion then in terms of my scapula, as we said, we pinch and pull them together a little bit. We keep those elbows down to a certain degree. As I push, I drive and press my body away from the bar, or press the bar towards the floor, and I reach with my scapula, the last position, as if I'm trying to push my armpits forward towards the bar. But as you can see, as I'm going through that, I'm not going through excessive extension and flexion at the spine. I'm keeping a little bit of tension throughout my trunk, getting an understanding of the positioning and where I should be. So as I said, if you assess yourself, if you even record yourself, or you have someone try to point it out to you, if you can see that you're going through sort of excessive extension flexion, if you can see that the bar pad isn't as great, first obviously try to problem solve then and there, keep it at the height and see if you can correct it consciously now that it's been brought to your attention. But if that's the case, if you're not quite getting the position, that's where I'd say actually go a little bit higher. Make it relatively easier for you because you're going to take a little bit of that load away and you're going to be in a much better position to sort of correct those things, stay engaged and work through a better movement pattern before then advancing and going a little bit lower, lower again, and eventually working your way to the floor. So that's why I've really pointed this out as a much better way to advance towards a press up than would be, say, doing it from the knees, where you don't really get a great understanding of your trunk, where you should be, or even in terms of your hand positioning as well, okay? Any questions or anything like that, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you like the video as well. Share it with someone if you think they're going to find it relevant. And if you want to see more videos like this in future, be sure to subscribe to the page. For the moment, folks, I'll see you soon.